Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host, Connie, and today we are here with Season 2, Episode 14 of The Ghost and Molly McGee. And before we really kick this off, I do want to say that this is the final episode for the time. They're going to be going on another hiatus because Disney Channel is fucking stupid. But we do know it's not going to be too long. Because it has apparently been revealed, I guess, that the finale of Season 2 will be airing in early to mid-January, I believe it is. So, we've got to come back, obviously, before that. So we've got, I don't know, probably like 6 episodes left after this. If we're going to 20 at least, which I feel like it'd have to be around there. So something like that. I don't know if that means we're going to come back before the holidays and then maybe take a week or two off because of the holidays before continuing. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but we're definitely going to come back around that time, I feel. And I'll be excited when we do. Right now, apparently it's not greenlit for Season 3, but that doesn't mean a Season 3 is not going to happen. Apparently there was someone who said, I don't remember who it was, but usually with animation, someone is quoted as saying, animated series, and I'm paraphrasing here, animated series are not canceled so much as they're just not picked up again. And I've seen a couple people, like, I think are in the industry who have echoed that remark. It's not so much that they're canceled, it's just that they're never picked up again. And usually it's on a level to where the creators and everyone are told that they're not going to be picked up for another season or whatnot. So it's effectively canceled, but not quite in the same way. There are exceptions, without question, though, such as the Owl House. The Owl House was just straight up canceled. And they were allowed to finish it out, but they were given a much smaller order for Season 3, and we know that Dana and the team did an amazing job, but yeah, it was canceled. It wasn't just not picked up again, it was canceled. So there are exceptions like that, but a lot of these series, like Dead End Paranormal Park is a good example, I feel. Like that one, or Glitch Techs, were not picked up for a third season. Despite the fact that both of them were fantastic and had quite a big audience, they just weren't picked up for another season. They were effectively canceled. And we have absolutely no evidence that that's what's happening with Ghost and Molly McGee. All we know is right now, it's just not picked up for another season. It's just not greenlit at the moment. That doesn't mean it's effectively canceled. Until one of the creators says something, we have to assume a Season 3 will come. It just might not come as quickly as Season 2 did. Which sucks in its own right, but it's livable. And there's other shows we can watch in the meantime and everything, but yeah. There's also talk surrounding what the title of the last episode of this season is going to be, which, for those who might not know, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I won't mention what the title is. I was spoiled to it, but honestly, it's vague enough to where it doesn't necessarily mean that there's not going to be a Season 3. It's just, I feel like people are just being paranoid because of other shows that have, been canceled before their time. Which I get, but you don't want to give up hope, You want to keep hope that this show's going to continue to go on. You want to keep up hope that it's going to continue to succeed, because it's extremely popular. And you would think that after Disney kind of learned that canceling Owl House was a bad idea, just from the fan feedback as well as how exceptional the viewership was on the season 3 episodes. You think they would learn anyway that canceling a show like this would be a bad business decision. I would hope, at least. Especially when it's as popular as it is. Like, this is not as popular as something like Amphibia or Owl House was. No, but still. It's still extremely popular. It's one of the big ones going right now. Like, compared to stuff like Haley's on It, it's like, no one cares about Haley's on It. People gave it a chance, and pretty much everyone I've seen talking about it agrees that it's just not that good. Even the people who are a little more okay with it are still just seeing it as meh. I don't think I've seen a single person who actually says it's good. So it's kind of wild in that regard. And I very sincerely hope that if this does end up being canceled, I hope it's not for the gay stuff again. Because they really need to get over that if that's the case. Because it's like, and there's not even as much of it in here as something like Owl House. It's like, Andrea is just confirmed to be queer. That's, I think, the only thing we've gotten, pretty much. Like, all we got is that Andrea has a crush on another girl. That's pretty much literally it. And it's... If stuff like that is the reason, it would be a reason for this not getting picked up for a third season, that would be fucking stupid. And yet, and it wouldn't even make sense either, because Moon Girl was renewed for season 2 that's going to be coming out in February, I believe. And the season 1 of that, at least as far as I've gotten so far, has had a shit ton of queer rep. Not just people who are, like, you know, in same-sex relationships, but you also have non-binary characters. Very consistently. This series talks about pronouns. It's like, come on. There's a girl in there who is pretty likely, even though it's never explicitly said so far, but pretty likely to be trans. It's like, and that's renewed for season 2. So if this was canceled for that, that would be fucking weird. But I don't want to rant on this forever, because I think I talked about it last episode as well. But with this being, you know, the break point, I just wanted to bring it up again. I believe we will be getting a season 3. It just hasn't been greenlit yet. It'll probably either be greenlit by the end of the season or shortly after the season ends. And we'll probably get it mid to late next year, maybe. That's my guess. But I have no reason to believe they're not going to do a season 3. With as popular as this show is, with as big as it is, I have no reason to believe otherwise. Like, let's be honest, this show is bigger than Moon Girl right now, and Moon Girl just got renewed for a second season. Moon Girl's pretty big, but this series is bigger, and Moon Girl's a Marvel property, so that's kind of saying something. But yeah, we'll play it out, and we'll keep up hope. So, last time we did get Andrea admitting her crush and everything on a girl, but it wasn't played as like this big moment, like, oh, I have a crush on another girl. No, she just admitted it, and Molly gave her this like this look, cause Molly, and it was just kind of like treated as normal. But what isn't normal is that this new shop, this new store, this new big business has put Davenport's out of business. And now Andrea is kind of trying to figure out who she's going to be without the brand behind her name. And I think there's a lot that's going to improve for her character from this. Like, her character has already like just been massively growing in quality. Like, her growth and development has been amazing. But with this, I think she's going to grow even more. I think it's going to be a much bigger thing for her going forward. And her finding out who she's going to be is going to just continue to make her best girl. It's like she last time already just took the spot from Libby for me. And Libby's still a very close second, mind you, but she's definitely like proving why she's my favorite character now. So I can't wait to see more of her and just more of the series in general. Now, since this is the last episode before we go on hiatus again, we do have to open up the slot. And so the big question is, obviously, what could replace The Ghost of Molly McGee as a first impression series here? Because I technically do have a lot of shows that could take its place. But I'll talk more about that in the afterthoughts, because I know what I'm going to replace it with, and I'm going to leave that for pretty much the end of the video. So just be patient, we'll get there. So the last thing I want to say is, I've heard that the creators have hyped up this episode. I actually haven't seen the hyping up, but I've heard that the creators did. I've heard that these two segments in this episode are being hyped up as being really good ones to leave off on for now. That it's like, these are two great segments being together here. I don't know what that means. That could be anything. It could just mean two great segments. It could mean they have some kind of connection. It could mean anything. Now, the last time we left off on hiatus, we ended off with a really good episode. A really good segment that touched on Molly's heritage and her feeling of not living up to that side of her. Which was a phenomenal episode. One of this series' best, I would say. And I'm really hoping that that we leave off on a really good note again. But even if it's not as good as that, as long as it's just a good note, it's just something I can, really enjoy still. Because there have been a couple episodes in this series and a couple segments that just don't work as much for me. But honestly, those have been pretty rare, I would say. So, yeah, let's just see where this is going to go and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I like how I could tell that was Tom Kenny, not because of the voice he was doing, but specifically because of his inflection. The way he speaks, no matter what kind of voice he's doing, he always kind of sounds the same. Like, whether he's Ice King or SpongeBob or Penguin or Kenny Starr, you can always just kind of tell. There might be some exceptions where it's like I've had a little trouble telling or wasn't as sure, but you can usually tell just because of the inflection of his voice. Um, so this episode, being the last episode before this next hiatus, was okay. Like, if this was hyped up to be something special, something interesting, a really good set of segments to leave off on, I feel like it was overhyped if that's the case. Um, because it's like this was just good, just okay. It's like nothing about it was that special. Neither segment was that great. Like nowhere near the best segments of this season. Like not even close. The songs were good, but it's like the segments themselves were just okay. Not bad, not even meh, but okay. So let's talk about them. So the first of these two segments, Web of Lies. Molly and Scratch think they accidentally kill Heidi Hairylegs, bury the molted exoskeleton, and try their best to hide it from Daryl, but it's revealed in the end that Heidi just molted, which, again, I didn't know spiders or specifically tarantulas or whatever did. Like, I just didn't know that. When I think of molting and like shedding and everything, I think of snakes before anything. I just genuinely did not know that was a thing that they did, but okay. Um, yeah, it's a very basic like characters are lying to hide something bad they did, but it was all a misunderstanding in the first place, and nothing was actually wrong. You see this in everything. It is like one of the most overdone plot points in a cartoon. And honestly, it wasn't anything special here. The best part of the episode was the ending joke where Molly accidentally killed a bird, and you see the bird's ghost fly away. That was really fucking funny because they've done this in the show before. It's a recurring gag, and it's such a needlessly like dark recurring gag that it's like, why? Why is that what you chose to make a recurring gag in this series? Like, birds being killed. Like, what? But it's somehow, like, really funny. Especially because you never really see it coming. It's never really choreographed that it's gonna happen. It just comes out of nowhere, surprises you, and it's funny. But it's the only thing in the segment that was really that great. Like, nothing was bad, but nothing was really anything special either. Nothing, like, really stood out. The song was okay. I had no issue with the song. But a segment can't live by its song alone. Unless the segment were, like, a complete musical, but I don't think we've had that. The second segment here with Kenny Starr's return. Why? Who asked for this? Like, the entire Kenny Starr thing before, like, he was going to perform at the band shell, ended up being revealed to be a fake, was revealed to, like, basically be Kid Rock, just, I guess, less controversial. You know how in real life, like, Kid Rock, like, that's kind of his music, like, Down Home, Country Boy, and all of that, when in reality, it's like he's a rich boy who has, let's be honest, never worked a day in his life. Yeah, he's also an extreme asshole, and a terrible person in general, so. But, again, not really focusing on that aspect of things. So who wanted Kenny Starr back? Seriously. It's like, after that reveal, like, he ends up getting replaced in the band shell in the original episode with, the Blackpink, characters. Let's be honest, they're basically just Blackpink. Atomic Pink, I think, is their name. Um, the K-pop group that Daryl loves. We could also say that. But yeah, they are much better in every way, much more exciting and fun, and actually likable people as well. Because we've seen them return, and they're actually likable characters. But no, instead we also bring back Kenny and have a redemption episode for him, but also not, because it's kind of implied at the end that nothing ends up sticking with him. He ends up like just flying away on an eagle. It's like, that's not normal. It's like, he's not gonna be actually like redeemed from all of that. Like I said in the reaction, it's not so much that he is rich, because let's be honest, everybody knows these like musicians are well off. Nobody denies that. But it's the fact that all his music was about like, being a down home country boy, and he lived a complete opposite lifestyle. Like, if he were still like living to some degree a country boy kind of lifestyle, if he were like helping out even in small towns, and giving aid, or working like with soup kitchens and stuff like that, that would be completely forgivable, because it's like, even though he's still like a rich boy, it's like he's still taking part in small town America. And we see him start to do that here. But the thing is, we know throughout the entire episode, he's only doing it to get his career back. Like, he's only doing this just so he can have his money and fame and riches back. He's not doing it out of any noble goal. He's not doing it to actually reconnect with his roots. And because of that, nothing really matters, because it's all a waste of time, and we know it's not going to stick with him. So what's the point? Again, the song was good. There were maybe a couple good jokes in it. A callback to the GOAT episode, which I really enjoyed. But overall, it's like, eh. It was definitely the weaker of the two segments, and I wouldn't call it straight up bad, but I would call it very meh. The fact that it's very clear that Kenny's not actually doing this to do it, but rather just to get his fame and money back. The fact that it doesn't go anywhere, the fact that it's just kind of a waste of time. Not to mention Kenny Starr's just unlikable, and I really had no interest in seeing him come back, and never really had an interest in seeing this kind of plot line. It's like, it just doesn't do anything for me. There's enough to keep it above being bad. It never goes quite into that realm. But yeah, it's like, it's not good. It's just meh. So, yeah, unfortunately, not the best episode in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. If you really like this one, that's perfectly fine. It's all subjective. But yeah. Not the best episode to leave off on a hiatus for me. But, again, it wasn't bad at least. And there will be plenty of other shows to keep me focused and busy. So I'll miss it, and it's gonna suck to at least not leave off on a great episode, but we'll survive. And when this comes back, we'll get right to it. So, what is replacing this? The answer might surprise you, because you're probably thinking, oh, she's gonna get back to Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. No. See, that's what I thought I was going to do at first, too, because I do want to get back to that series. I really enjoy that series, and we just kind of left it off in the middle of Season 1. I very much want to get back to that, but there's something I actually have been craving getting to just a little bit more lately. Something that I'm just, like, really... I guess you could kind of say, invested in. Something that I only saw one episode of so far. And this is a first impression slot, so that makes sense. But only saw one episode of so far, but something that it's just, I've been waiting for a chance to get back to it. It's like, I have my chance now. I'm not going to waste it. And that is My Adventures with Superman. We will be continuing that pretty much right away. It's going to enter the slot right away. So we'll probably end up getting to at least one episode this week at some point. But yeah, ever since I saw the first episode, I've just been getting more and more antsy about returning to this. The first episode was fantastic. Not to mention, it's kind of the first part of a two-parter. So I'm also really antsy on continuing because of that, but there's a lot of reasons I want to continue with this series. Especially because people are talking about this series, and I am trying to do my damnedest to avoid spoilers. And unfortunately, I already know one kind of big spoiler. Because it was kind of everywhere. Everyone was talking about it. I'm not going to spoil what it is here, but yeah. And I don't know all the context about it. It's just, I know that it's one of those things, like with a lot of One Piece, where it's like, I know that it happens, and I know, like, a little bit of, like, just what happens in a specific scene. But again, I don't know the context that leads up to it. I don't know what everything, where it goes from there, or anything like that. So I'm trying my best to avoid spoilers, but people are really talking about this series. Like, this series is getting a lot of attention, which is great, and I feel like really happy for everyone who worked on it that their series is doing this well. But yeah, I'm just very excited to see more on my own, but also with the fact that it's being talked about so heavily, and the fact that I'm having already to avoid being spoiled on it. It's like, yeah, I want to see more, so we're getting to that. That is going to be taking this slot, again, right away. So I'll probably have the channel banner updated by the end of the day. If not, then tomorrow for sure. But yeah, so that's taking this spot. We will get back to Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur in the near future, though. Like, I'm still pretty much first chance I can get, because I do still want to very much return to that. And obviously, this series will return at some point in the future, too. Whenever it ends up returning. We don't have a date yet, but yeah. So, thank you all so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.